What happens when two human-piloted spacecraft fly in orbit at the same time, for the first time in history? In 1962, the Soviet Union launched Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 just a day apart, pushing the boundaries of space exploration. But how close did they really get, and what secrets did these missions uncover about life in space? Join us as we dive into the daring dual mission that changed the course of the space race forever. The Vostok spacecraft was the Soviet Union's pioneering human spaceflight vehicle, famously carrying Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, on April 12, 1961. Designed for a single cosmonaut, the spherical re-entry capsule was equipped with basic life support systems and an ejection seat for landing. It was simple but reliable, allowing safe atmospheric re-entry. The Vostok launch vehicle, derived from the R-7 intercontinental ballistic missile, featured multiple stages and was remarkably powerful for its time. Its clustered engine design provided the necessary thrust to overcome Earth's gravity and insert the spacecraft into low Earth orbit. The Vostok program demonstrated the USSR's early dominance in the space race, proving human survival in space and setting the foundation for more advanced missions. With 6 crewed missions between 1961 and 1963, the program was a major milestone in space exploration history. Vostok 3 was launched by the Soviet Union on August 11, 1962, carrying cosmonaut Andriy Nikolaev into orbit. It was a landmark mission, not just for its duration, nearly 4 days in space, but for its coordination with Vostok 4, which launched the following day. This marked the first time 2 crewed spacecraft were in orbit simultaneously. Although they didn't dock, the 2 Vostok capsules came within about 5 kilometers of each other, allowing limited radio communication. Vostok 3 tested human endurance in space, with Nikolaev conducting medical observations and reporting on his physical condition. The mission provided valuable data on how the human body responds to extended weightlessness. Additionally, the successful operation of life support systems and communication over multiple days paved the way for more complex space missions. Vostok 3 was a clear demonstration of the USSR's growing confidence and ambition in space exploration during the height of the Cold War. Vostok 4 launched on August 12, 1962, just 1 day after Vostok 3, carrying cosmonaut Pavel Popovich into orbit. This mission was part of the Soviet Union's bold attempt to conduct the first dual-crewed spaceflight. While the 2 spacecraft never physically docked, they flew in close proximity, within about 5 kilometers, allowing radio communication between the cosmonauts, a major milestone in spaceflight coordination. Vostok 4 lasted nearly 3 days, slightly shorter than Vostok 3, but it was crucial in studying how different cosmonauts responded to similar space conditions. Popovich experienced mild space sickness, providing critical insight into the physiological effects of space travel. The success of Vostok 4, in tandem with Vostok 3, proved that the Soviet Union could launch and manage multiple human missions in orbit, a strategic and technological triumph during the space race that laid the groundwork for future space rendezvous and longer missions. Planning the joint mission of Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 was a strategic and symbolic move by the Soviet space program. The goal was to demonstrate that 2 crewed spacecraft could operate in orbit at the same time, an essential step toward future space rendezvous and docking. Engineers carefully calculated flight paths to bring the spacecraft within visual range, a challenging feat without modern tracking systems. Mission planners scheduled Vostok 3's launch first, with Vostok 4 timed to follow just 1 day later. The close launch window was key to ensuring the crafts would enter similar orbits. Though docking wasn't yet possible, the plan was to allow radio contact and study simultaneous human endurance in space. The missions would also test ground control's ability to manage more than 1 crewed flight at a time. This ambitious coordination pushed Soviet spaceflight capabilities forward, showcasing technological sophistication during the Cold War's peak. Vostok 3 was launched by the Soviet Union on August 11, 1962, as part of a historic dual spaceflight mission alongside Vostok 4. Piloted by cosmonaut Andriy Nikolaev, Vostok 3 marked the first time two crewed spacecraft were in orbit simultaneously. The mission lasted nearly 4 days and provided critical data on the effects of prolonged spaceflight on the human body, paving the way for future extended missions. On its first day in orbit, Vostok 3, piloted by Andriy Nikolaev, completed multiple Earth orbits while maintaining communication with ground control. He also unstrapped himself from his ejection seat and became the first human to float free in space. Nikolaev conducted biomedical experiments, monitored onboard systems, and reported on his condition, demonstrating that humans could function effectively in space for extended periods, an important step toward future long-duration missions. Vostok 4 was launched by the Soviet Union on August 12, 1962, just 1 day after Vostok 3. Piloted by cosmonaut Pavel Popovich, it was part of the first dual mission in space. The flight aimed to study the effects of space travel and test spacecraft communication at close orbital distances. During their joint mission in August 1962, Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 achieved a major milestone in space exploration by becoming the first crewed spacecraft to orbit Earth simultaneously. Piloted by Andriy Nikolaev and Pavel Popovich respectively, the two missions demonstrated the feasibility of simultaneous spaceflight, which was crucial for future rendezvous and docking missions. Although they did not physically dock, the spacecraft came within about 6.5 kilometers of each other. Throughout the mission, both cosmonauts maintained radio contact with each other and with ground control, simulating cooperative operations in space. They conducted medical experiments, tested life support systems, and provided vital information on how the human body responds to longer durations in microgravity. The success of these coordinated flights proved that complex, multi-craft missions were possible, significantly advancing Soviet capabilities in space and setting the stage for more ambitious goals, such as the development of space stations and lunar missions in the years that followed. While in orbit, Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 conducted several important tests to evaluate human performance and spacecraft systems during extended spaceflight. Cosmonauts Andriy Nikolaev and Pavel Popovich performed biomedical monitoring, including heart rate, respiration, and physical responses to weightlessness. They also tested radio communications between the two spacecraft and ground control, successfully maintaining contact despite being hundreds of kilometers apart at times. These tests confirmed that humans could remain healthy and operational in space for multiple days, a key step toward future long-duration missions and cooperative orbital operations. Vostok 3 safely returned to Earth on August 15, 1962, after nearly 4 days in orbit. Cosmonaut Andriy Nikolaev landed in Kazakhstan, completing a successful mission. Vostok 4 returned to Earth on August 15, 1962, within an hour after Vostok 3, concluding the world's first dual spacecraft mission. Cosmonaut Pavel Popovich manually initiated re-entry after receiving instructions from ground control, showcasing the ability for human-controlled descent. The spacecraft landed safely in Kazakhstan, and Popovich emerged in good health. However, he and the recovery team had difficulty because of local winds that harmed some of the recovery forces. The joint mission of Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 in August 1962 marked a major achievement in the early years of human space exploration. It was the first time two crewed spacecraft were in orbit at the same time, piloted by Andriy Nikolaev and Pavel Popovich. Though the spacecraft did not dock, they flew in relatively close proximity, coming within just a few kilometers of each other. The mission demonstrated that cosmonauts could remain in space for several days, providing crucial data on the physical and psychological effects of prolonged weightlessness. Communication between the spacecraft and with ground control was maintained throughout, proving the feasibility of coordination in space. The cosmonauts performed biomedical experiments, tested life support systems, and showcased the ability to manually control key phases of the mission, including re-entry. The success of Vostok 3 and 4 significantly advanced the Soviet space program and laid essential groundwork for future missions involving rendezvous, docking, and extended stays in orbit. In conclusion, the Vostok 3 and Vostok 4 missions marked a pivotal moment in the history of human spaceflight. Launched just 1 day apart in August 1962, they became the first crewed spacecraft to operate simultaneously in orbit, demonstrating the potential for multi-vehicle missions. Pilots Andriy Nikolaev and Pavel Popovich remained in space for nearly 4 days, conducting biomedical tests, evaluating the effects of extended weightlessness, and successfully maintaining communication with each other and ground control. While the two spacecraft did not physically dock, their proximity and coordination proved that complex orbital operations were achievable. The safe return of both cosmonauts underscored the reliability of Soviet space technology and mission planning. These missions provided valuable data that would shape future endeavors in space, particularly in rendezvous and docking techniques. Ultimately, the success of Vostok 3 and 4 strengthened the Soviet Union's leadership in the early space race and laid a crucial foundation for the development of long-duration missions and cooperative orbital operations.